All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to. I don't even know which one of this is for the Tao Te Ching readings, but it's a beautiful day today. I guess the last couple weekends I've been busy and the weather hasn't been that great, so I just want to be in a good state of mind when I'm recording these. So, and actually, I had to wait a little while. I had some issues with my server. Apparently, there was an update with the software and it threw everything off. And then my neighbor decided to take a shower, and I didn't want to have just consistent water noise in the background. So the joys of recording content in an apartment. But we're going to start today with verse 39. And this is a very powerful one. I'm going to just, I guess, framing it or building expectation isn't part of the Tao, but I read these before I go live, and this one really spoke to me. Actually, I had to change two words. I'm gonna say it now. When I say strong, it's actually fecund, which is not a very well known word, but I think strong is a little better there. And then at the end, it says shining like jade, where jade is more of the Chinese Korean area version of diamond. So, we live in the Western world. I'm recording this in English, so I would prefer to say diamond for our translation. So, without further ado, verse 39. Then and now. In ancient times, all entities had their own integrity and function. The sky was clear and endless. The earth was calm and firm. The gods were charged with spiritual powers. The wells were clean and full. The 10,000 creatures were healthy and strong. Leaders were elected to plan the work and defense of the community. How wondrously concordant. If the sky were not endless, it would have fallen. If the earth were not firm, it could have burst. If the gods did not exercise their spiritual powers, they would have been abandoned. If the wells were not full, they could have dried up. If the 10,000 creatures were not productive, they could have become extinct. If the leaders did not plan the work and defense of the community, they would have been replaced. In this way, each entity has its own essentiality, each part complementing every other. Nowadays, when the privileged among us identify themselves with the orphan, the widower, and the hungry one, it may be opportunistic appeal for the support of the lowly, or a realization that loudly trumpeting self-glory negates itself, or a premonition that shining like a diamond and resounding like stone chimes attracts the desperate adventurers among those deprived of hope, inviting disaster among those who create these own deprivations. Some deep stuff. And I can hear the dog down the hall. I got a crazy old dog lady. She's got a little chihuahua and a little something else. And I mean, straight out of an episode of Seinfeld. First door at the end of the hall. Yeah, all going for their walk, yaping at everything along the way. All right, verse 40. All is paradox. The movement of the great integrity is infinite, yet its character is passive. Being defines every form of life, yet all originate in and return to non-being. We are miracles. The fact that we're alive is a miracle. That's kind of the takeaway of that. Oh, I haven't been doing commentary, but I think that's something I want to start doing because, anyone can read this themselves. So, verse 41. Observing and nourishing paradox. When most people hear about the great integrity, they waver between belief and disbelief. When wise people hear about the great integrity, they diligently follow its path. When ignorant people hear about it, they laugh out loud. By this very laughter, we know its authenticity. It is said that enlightenment appears dark. The progressive way appears to be retrograde. The smooth way appears jagged. The highest peak of revelation appears empty like a valley. The cleanest appears to be soiled. The great abundance appears insufficient. The most enduring inner strength appears like weakness, and creativity appears imitative. Great talents mature slowly. Great sounds are silent. Great forms look shapeless. Transcendent squareness has no corners. The great integrity hides behind all forms, stubbornly nourishing the paradoxes that can enlighten us. When I hear the word paradox, I go to beauty. I go to aesthetic is in writings, it's juxtaposition, putting two things that shouldn't be together as a way to learn. Like that's the idea of a miracle in my mind. So, verse 42, the principles of transformation. Good one. The great integrity expresses one. One manifests as two. Two is transformed into three. And three generates all the myriad entities of the universe. Every entity always returns to yin after engaging yang. The fusion of these two opposites bursts the vital energy that sustains the harmony of life. But for most people, this harmony is decimated by inheriting a condition of relative misery, scarcity, and victimization. Politicians cleverly pretend that they too originate from the toxic soil of this misery, even while designing the very laws that make legitimate their own victimization. But watch out. For those who hoard over-sufficiency will be diminished, and those who are diminished will become bountiful. Similar to the meek shall inherit the earth line, which I think is contested a lot in Christianity. These commonly known truths that common people teach each other are also my truths. As you sow, so shall you reap. Such is the heart of my teaching in a world forced to live heartlessly. Yeah. Some good stuff. This one's a good one. This is like, I mean, I feel like I say that every time, but this one, I think it defines what the Tao is. The one become two, three, the whole, the Trinity. I did a crazy question Saturday about this, but that's the explanation in the Tao right now. We're going into it. So the last one I'm doing today is verse 43, the value of minimums. That which is most tender can overcome that which is most rigid. That which has the least substance can penetrate that which has least base. Acting without deliberate action and teaching without uttering a word are rarely practiced. So few find their way to the great integrity. And man, that's good. I really I do want to end with a bit of a homily on the value of minimums, because before, I feel like a lot of people that watch this segment in particular probably know me. So this is almost like a confession if I'm looking from a Catholic perspective. But I have been a minimalist for quite a while before I even really got into the Tao or began reading it regularly. But it's almost like a value that I always held. But and to me, that's the genius of the Tao. It's kind of like you don't come reading this, and that's what it says. Acting without deliberate action and teaching without uttering a word are so rarely practiced. So when you read the Tao, actually what I'm doing is almost not in concordance with what the Tao is, but the Tao also says that you kind of just need to be unpredictable. Chaotic actions need to happen. Like when you feel the urge, just act on it and let your intuition take over. And that's what I'm doing. But the premise it makes is very few people read the Tao in the first place because it's such simple truths that, like it said when, right here, it says about laughing at the Tao, essentially. When ignorant people hear it, they laugh out loud. So it's almost like the truths you get are so simple that if you don't take the time to see how it applies to not only yourself but everyone, that's where, for me, I see the sacredness to it, is that it doesn't simply apply to me, my story. It applies to me when I was younger. It will apply to me in my future, but also it applies to that, if I can say that it applies to me now, in the future, or in the past. Actually, I did that in the wrong direction. I forget. I need to flip when I'm doing things for a screen. If I do that in the past or in the future, there we go. Left to right. But yeah, I think I made my point. Is not a lot of people read it to begin with, much less feel the need to record it on the internet. So I'm just grateful that I can have this conversation recorded. Let me know what you think. This is actually probably the most important of all the verses of the Tao Te Ching to me. The beginning is a bit of a framing, like laying the groundwork, and the later ones get into more specifics and kind of tied up with a bow. But this video right now is actually probably has two of the most important Actually, two of the most important, but the other ones also complement very well. So thank you for listening. Make sure you like this video. Like I said, comment if there's something that you agree with, or there's something that you disagree with, or like a whole argument. And subscribe to the channel. It definitely helps me out. Once I get over a certain subscriber count, that's when I can start making money off this channel. And the way to think of it is, once I can start making money off this channel, I'm going to start devoting more time to it. So if you like what you see here, subscribing is your way of letting me know that I should keep moving forward. So I appreciate your consideration.